Hello everyone. In this video, we'll be looking at a set called Business School Set from DILR 2019 Slot 2 of CAT paper. So this set is often rated as medium to difficult in terms of difficulty level, and we provide you a 10-minute solution for this set in this video. Before looking at the video, please try to solve this set once all by yourself so that you'll be able to understand and appreciate the method better. Let's begin. Let us have a look at the set and the questions which are given so that we'll understand what this set is all about and what they're trying to ask. So the second question in ET was prepared by whom? How many 5-mark questions were there in MT and ET combined? Who prepared 15-mark questions in MT and ET? Which following questions did Betty prepare in ET? Okay, so here we understand that they're talking something about MT and ET and something about 5-mark and 15-mark questions and who prepared them. So we should know that who prepared in which exam what mark questions, right? So now let us start reading the question. The first year students in a business school are split into 6 sections. In 2019, the business statistics course was taught in 6 sections by A, B, C, D, E and F. So we know that A, B, C, D, E and F are the teachers. All 6 sections had a common midterm and a common end term worth 100 marks each. So we know that there is midterm and end term worth 100 marks each. Right. So ET contained more number of questions than MT. So end term has more number of questions than midterm. So this is the data in the first paragraph. Let's move to the second paragraph. Questions for ET and MT are prepared collectively by 6 faculty members. Considering MT and ET together, each faculty member prepared the same number of questions. So this means that if you combine MT and ET, the number of questions prepared should be a multiple of 6, right? Because each of these 6 teachers prepared the same number of questions in MT and ET combined. So the total number of questions in midterm plus end term should be a multiple of 6, right? So let's move to the next paragraph. Each of midterm and end term had at least 4 questions that are worth 5 marks, at least 3 questions that are worth 10 marks, and at least 2 questions that are worth 15 marks. In both midterm and end term, all the 5-mark questions preceded the 10-mark questions and all the 15-mark questions followed the 10-mark questions. So we know that there are at least 4 5-mark questions, 3 10-mark questions and 2 15-mark questions in the midterm as well as end term. So we know the distribution of 80 marks in both midterm as well as end term. And we also know one more thing, the order of the questions. So first 5-mark question came, which are followed by 10 mark, which are followed by 15 mark. So this is how it is, right? 432, 432 in midterm as well as end term. This is the data which we have as of now. And the remaining 20 marks, the possibility of dividing them into 5 mark, 10 marks and 15 marks are 4 5 marks or 2 10 marks or 1 5 and 1 15 mark or 2 5 and 1 10 mark. There is no other way to split this 20 marks, right? So now let's move forward and let's look at more data. The following additional facts are known. A prepared the 5th question for both MT and ET. For MT, this question carried 5 marks. So this is a very crucial point where we come to know that the 5th question in MT is also a 5-mark question. So you remember previously for 20 marks, we have written down all the possible scenarios. So for MT, the scenario 2 is not possible. 10 and 10 is not possible because whatever left in 20 marks, we already know 1 is definitely a 5-mark question. So it is also not possible that midterm will have all 5s, all 4 5s, because end term should have greater number of questions than midterm, and it's not possible in case midterm has the highest number of questions possible, right? So midterm will either have 5 and 15 or 5, 5 and 10 as a distribution of questions for the 20 marks which are left. So let's take the case of 5 and 15. In this case, midterm will have 11 questions because 4 plus 3 plus 2 more questions. End term must have either 12 or 13 questions because end term should have greater number of questions, and the maximum possibility is 4 5 marks, and then after that it is 2 5 marks and a 10 marks. So midterm 11 questions, end term 12 questions or 13 questions is a possibility. Now let's add the total number of questions. In case midterm is 11 and end term is 12, the total number of questions is 23. In case midterm is 11 and end term has 13 questions, the total number of questions is 24. But we also established that the total number of questions should be a multiple of 6, because all the teachers teach equal number of questions, prepare equal number of questions. So in this case only there is one possibility, 11 and 13, midterm 11 and end term 13. Let's look at this case 5, 5 and 10. In this case midterm will have 12 questions. This means end term must have 13 questions. So again in this case the sum is 25, which is not possible, right? Because again it should be a multiple of 6. So now that we know the number of questions in midterm is 11 and number of questions in end term is 13. So in midterm, the 20 marks are distributed as one 5-mark question and one 15-mark question. So the total number of 5-mark question is 4 plus 1, and 10-mark question remains as 3, and 15-mark questions will be 2 plus 1, 3, right? Similarly, 13 questions for end term. Right, this is possible only if all the questions are 5-mark questions, all the questions which are left, 20 marks which are left. See, all the 20 marks which is left will be distributed as 5-mark questions, 4 of them. So 4 plus 4 will be the number of 5-mark question for the end term. Now let's move ahead and look at questions first. The second question in ET was prepared by whom? This you can't answer. How many 5-mark questions were there in MT and ET combined? This you can directly answer, because 4 plus 1, 5 5-mark questions in midterm, and 4 plus 4, 8 5-mark questions in end term. So the total number of 5-mark questions is 13, right? So now the rest of the data we can use to solve question number 1, 3 and 4. Let's do that. Now we know the number of questions for each type of marks, right? 5-mark, 10-mark and 15-mark for end term and midterm as well. From this we can write the questions and the number of marks which they carry for midterm and end term. So I've written the distribution here just below that marks table. And I made one more table where I will be looking at the teacher and the data and the final results which I get for midterm and end term. So the data, whatever is coming from the question, will be entered in the leftmost column, and the final number questions which are prepared by that particular teacher in midterm or end term will be entered in the right column once they are known. So now let's come to the point 1. Annie prepared the 5th question in both midterm and end term. So I will write that data. Next, for midterm, this question carried 5 marks. We used this already and we solved one question also. Coming to point B, Annie prepared one question for midterm and every other faculty member prepared more than one question for midterm. So Annie prepared one question and in midterm we have 11 questions. So the number of questions that are left are 10 and there are only 5 faculty members left. So the only way in which all these 5 faculty members prepare more than one question in those 10 questions are each of them preparing 2 questions each. So we will write that, right? Once this is done, we also have another data that the sum of the questions in midterm as well as end term is 24. So the only way that is possible is these 6 teachers preparing 4 questions each cumulatively, right? Because 6 4 is 24, and in that way we can know the number of questions prepared by these teachers in end term. Because Annie prepared only 1 in midterm, it has to prepare 3 in end term, and the rest have prepared only 2 in midterm, so they have to prepare 2 more in end term. Right, now once this is known, let's go to the next data, point number C. All questions prepared by a faculty member appear consecutively in midterm as well as end term. So now we know that Annie prepared 5th question and 3 questions it prepared in end term. So it can either be 3 4 5 or 4 5 and 6. It cannot be 3 4 5 or 5 6 7. It cannot be 4 5 and 6. Why? Because if it is 4, 5 and 6, before that 1, 2 and 3 questions are left, right? And every other faculty member prepared 2 questions in end term and those 2 have to be consecutive. So if 3 are left, this is impossible to distribute these faculty members to those questions. So the only 2 possibilities of the distribution of the questions for Annie are 3, 4, 5 or 5, 6, 7 in the end term. Let's move ahead. Point number D. C prepared the 3rd question in both midterm and end term. So let's write the data here. Now once we know that C prepared 3rd question, C cannot prepare 2 and 3 in midterm. In that case, 1st question will be left, and again all other teachers have to prepare 2 questions and they have to come consecutively. So C must have prepared 3 and 4 in midterm. Similarly, now we know that C prepared third question. The 3, 4 and 5 possibility for A in end term is gone. So A prepared 5, 6 and 7. So again C should prepare 3 and 4 because it can't prepare 2 and 3. In that case again one question will be left in both the sets. Let's move to the next data. And the part 2 of point D, Isha prepared 8th question in both. So Isha prepared 8th question in both. So in case of midterm, we know that A prepared 5th question. So after that 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 are left. This means that 6th, 7th should be prepared by a single teacher, 8th, 9th by a single teacher and 10th, 11th by a single teacher. So E will be preparing 8 and 9. Similarly, for the end term case, 5th, 6th and 7th are already taken by A. After that, 8th is prepared by E. So 9th must definitely be prepared by E. Now let's go to E, point number E. Fakir prepared the first question of MT and the last one of ET. So he prepared first question of MT and the 13th question, last question of ET. So if he prepared the first question and he prepared 2 questions and they have to come consecutively, it's only possible that he prepared first and second questions in MT. Similarly, with similar logic, if he prepared last question and prepared 2 questions in end term, he should prepare 12th and 13th questions. So now let's move to the last part of last point number E. Dave prepared the last question of MT and the first question of ET. So he prepared 11th question, that is the last question of MT and first question of ET. And he prepared 2 questions each in MT and ET. So the only possibility is that he prepared 10th and 11th in MT and first and second in ET. Now we are left with 2 questions each in MT and ET and those are prepared by B. Now we have this entire table filled. Let us solve the questions. So we already solved second question. Let us look at question number 1. The second question in ET was prepared by whom? So the first and second questions in end term are prepared by D. So the answer is Dave. Next, coming to third question. Who prepared 15-mark question in MT and ET? So the 15-mark questions, if you see in the first 2 lines, our 15-mark question for MT are 9, 10, 11 and 15-mark questions for ET are 12 and 13. So 9, 10 and 11 are prepared by D and E in MT and 12 and 13 are prepared by F in ET, right? So they are prepared by D, E and F, Dave, Isha and Fakir. So let's go to question number 4, last question. Which of the following questions did Beti prepare in end term? So B prepared in end term question number 10 and 11. So the answer is 10th question. So we came to the end of this set here. In the upcoming videos, we'll be looking more sets from CAT 2019 slot 2 DILR. If you have any more requests or any more queries regarding CAT preparation, you can always ask them in the comments. Thanks for your time.